All right, let's get started. Thanks everybody for giving us the time today. Appreciate it. We're here today to talk about how to optimize costs across your entire data stack using what we call spend intelligence. So with me today, I have Preeti. She is our Director of Product Management, Acceldata. She's going to go through a few slides. And then also Sameer Narkhede. He is going to give you a short demo. And we're happy to take questions. This is a live webinar, so we're happy to take questions. If you do have any questions, please put them in the chat or in the Q&A, and we will get to them. We've saved about 10 or 15 minutes at the end to get to any questions that you have. So with that, let me turn it over to you, Preeti.
Thank you so much, Loretta. It's such a pleasure talking to you all. And thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to attend this webinar. Hope we make it worthwhile for you. So I have my colleague Sameer, as Loretta mentioned, and don't be deceived by his humble, demeanor. He's such an achiever. He's been the founder and CEO of a startup before, and he's bright brain, so we are so fortunate that he's part of this webinar. So welcome everybody. If you don't mind, Loretta. Yes, thank you. So let's just get started with some facts and figures, right? So there was this a study done by Gartner recently which said that about 97% of the data is literally unused in organizations. So that was a staggering number. So if you think about the amount of data that's collected and captured and how much of it is not used, so the amount of unused data and the unused tables that are there, if you can identify them and act upon them, you can imagine the amount of positive impact you can make on the revenue and also the efficiency of decision making. So if just try to sink that in our, let's sink it in our brains for a second. If we can go to if you look at data products, literally every enterprise throughout the world is driven by data products nowadays. Data has become such an integral part of our lives, and all the enterprises are creating solutions for their customers completely based on data. Data is such an essential part of it. It's driving all our revenue and it's driving our lives literally. So what is a data product? It's something that uses data mainly, whether it's for predictive or analytical purposes. It may be a website, a software, but the end solution is for a customer. But if you see, if you just look at the analogy in front of your screen, it's what you have is a sports car, but if you look at the team inside the car, they lack the visibility. If you look at data teams, they lack the visibility in different parts of the data collection process and the pipelines and the compute that happens in order to make these data products happen. So we'll be a little bit discussing this today. If we can go to the next one, Loretta. So if you look at the different enterprises, they may use data products in different ways. For example, if you look at your favorite self-driving car like Rivian or Tesla, you'll see that they are creating nothing but data products if you think about it. Or if you are a healthcare provider, or if you're a ride-share solution like Uber or Lyft, your main purpose is to connect your customers, the people who want the ride, with the driver. So it's all about data. There's massive amount of data that's being processed and analyzed in real time. And nowadays everything is in nanoseconds. A second is considered too late. So when there's so much of efficiency required, there is no room for error. There is no room for not having visibility. So just setting the stage for where we are going now. So this is where our company comes in, Acceldata. I'm so proud to have joined this company a month ago, because this is the company that sort of came up with this whole new category for data observability. And so basically what we do is that we offer a data observability platform for at the enterprise level. So we help companies build and manage data products. We just talked about data products. Build and manage and operate data products at scale. So that's how we differentiate ourselves. And the way we do it is we ensure data reliability, and we help them eliminate operational blind spots, and we help them reduce their data spend. And we'll just discuss how we do this, but our whole focus on the webinar today is on reducing the spend. So that's our focus today. You'll see that we have been there around for 5 years now, and we have a lot of good investment companies, and the leadership team also in Acceldata has come from a lot of known companies such as Cloudera, Hortonworks, Google, and so on. Yeah, so if you look at the solutions that Acceldata offers, there are 3 main pillars that we have. So we have data reliability, spend intelligence, and operational intelligence. We have sort of focused them around the business outcomes or the use cases that are useful to our customers. So as I mentioned, our focus today is on the center solution, which is spend intelligence, and we'll talk more about it. If we can advance to the next slide, Loretta. Thank you. So last year we actually conducted a survey, and we found that we wanted to know what were the main concerns, the top of mind items for our customers, and data quality ranked high, and data performance was also top of mind. The administration aspect also was there, but the main thing that was bothering our customers and keeping them up at night was the cost. If you see, 48% of our customers were concerned about the cost aspect. So hopefully this webinar and our solution will alleviate some of those concerns. If we can go to the next slide, Loretta. And if you look at a very recent Gartner forecast, you'll see that the worldwide cloud spend is supposed to grow at 20+%, and up to like $591 billion in 2023. That's much higher than what was forecast in the last year, 2022. You know about the macroeconomic conditions that we have seen in the past few months or the past year. There's a lot of inflationary pressures that we have experienced worldwide. Just so looking at these macroeconomic conditions, the VP analyst of Gartner said that we are seeing this push and pull effect on cloud spending. So there are these cloud investments which are continuing to provide these safety nets for our organizations, in the sense that they're so agile, elastic, and scalable. So there's a lot of investment still happening on the cloud side, but on the flip side, we have to be conscious of the fact that the IT budgets are shrinking, and the cloud spend obviously is proportionally, we'll see the shrink. So what does that mean to us? If you can just click once, Loretta, thank you. So with the shrinking budgets and resources, what does this mean to us? What that means is that the economy is asking us to reduce wastage, to use our current resources efficiently, and to have accurate forecasts and budgets. So we are on track using our resources efficiently. So literally, spend intelligence is the need of the hour now. Yes, Loretta? Thank you. So with that, we request you to participate in a little poll that we have for you. If you don't mind, Loretta will start the poll now, and if you can answer the question in front of you.
Yep, the poll responses are coming in. Great. We will wait a couple more seconds for folks to put in their answers.
Thank you so much for responding.
Yep. Okay, we're going to end the poll now.
Thank you. So looks like top of mind for the participants on the poll today is to get more efficient with existing resources and to have more accuracy with forecasts and budgets. We would actually love to talk to you more about top of mind items even after the webinar if you want to contact us, and we'll be happy to discuss. And in this webinar, we hope we provide some useful insights. So on to the next one. Yeah, so if you can skip this slide, Loretta, and we can go on to the next one. Yeah, thank you. So if you look at the cloud warehouses, you'll see that there's a lot of benefits, which is why most of us are on the cloud nowadays. So it's the ease of getting started. It's the unlimited scalability of the infrastructure. It's like so easy to just scale, and just the continuous innovation that comes with it. You don't have to worry about installing your own. It just happens. The cloud warehouse does it for you. It's just so easy nowadays. And the consumption based pricing that comes with the cloud warehouses, that's something that we have got used to also. We were very attracted to it when it started because, oh, if I use less I pay less, so that's a human psychology. It was a really wonderful thing. But there's a flip side to everything in life, and cloud warehouses are no exception. So with each of these, we have seen a little bit of flip side, and those are the things that we need to address at this stage of maturity in terms of all the organizations on the cloud. So if you look at ease of getting started, yes, it's easy, but the lack of visibility into the data usage, there's so much of dispersion of data all over the place, and there's a very big chance of user mistakes, especially the people who are new to it. And then yes, it's unlimited, it scales so beautifully, but then the shocking cloud bills that come to us, which are unexpected. How do we take charge of it? How do we control it so we are not losing money in all these? We'll talk about this more and Sameer will show you some beautiful functionality which you'll be excited about, hopefully. And then there's this relentless I'm sorry, just one more. Yeah. And then there's a lot of innovation happening, but what about the unoptimized workloads that come with a lot of data that's dispersed, right? And the consumption based pricing, it was so attractive, but then it's so hard to budget it because there's so much money that's burned on bad queries and inaccurate data. So yes, please, if you can. Mhm. So in most organizations, you will see a flavor of, such conversations happening where the CFO or the controller comes to the team and says, I don't know how the money is being burnt. Where is all this going? Are we really getting value out of all that we are spending? And then the data analyst gets busy, and, then he or she wants to see all the queries and the resources that are being consumed. He or she wants to make sure that all the queries and jobs are being optimized. And then we have the admin or any role in that area who would try to figure out, okay, why is a certain user running a 2-hour query? Are they using the right guardrails or not? Have we put them into place? So all this is happening. Next slide, please. And if you drill down a little bit more on the situations, you see a lot of chaos, right? So we have a lot of questions coming from the CFO or from the data ops that, okay, how much was the spend for last quarter? Tell me the data warehouse spend. Give me the top 10 spending teams. Give it to me by this weekend. There's high priority demands that are coming in. What are the top 5 projects that are spending? And what's the root cause of this particular cost? And then the teams are busy running around spending hours trying to dig up information and getting all this information and creating reports. You can imagine the amount of efforts and time spent on this. So next slide, please. So with that perspective, I want you to reflect on your organization, and if you can answer this poll question and tell us which kind of roles are involved in this activity we call spend intelligence, right? So you'll have a poll in front of you, and you can check as many as you want, more than one if you want.
We're starting to see the answers come in. That's great.
Thank you. Yeah, think of all the roles who might be involved from different perspectives, whether they're contributing or asking for data or digging into the data. Try to imagine the scenarios and if you can give the answers. Thank you.
Okay, we'll close the poll in 3, 2, 1.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Looks like there's a disperse of roles that are involved in your organizations, and thank you for sharing that information with us. Yes, if we can go to the next one, please. Yeah, so we have been talking about spend intelligence, but just to make sure we are on the same page, let's define it for ourselves, right? So, what it means is we have this 360-degree visibility into the current and historical spend and utilization across your cloud data landscape, right? And you can maximize your ROI with spend intelligence. And how do you do that? Acceldata does it in 3 different forms. So one is by optimizing your cloud data platform spend. That's the first thing. And I think that was top of mind for most of you in this group. The second is detecting the anomalies and the cost overruns to reduce wastage. We saw that was also top of mind, so we'll focus on that. And the third is delivering accurate spend plans and budgets based on detailed granular cost and utilization insights. We saw a few of you were interested in the budgeting aspect as well, so it looks like we have an interested audience. Yes, if you can go to the next one, please. Yeah, so if you want to drill down into, okay, so what do you mean by optimizing the spend? What do you mean by, detecting the anomalies? What do you mean by the spend plan and getting confidence in your budgets, right? So these, we have sort of listed down the scope or what we think is encompassed in each of these, and we'll share this with you so you can also look at it. It's also on our website. So what we mean in the optimization piece is that you are able to track and analyze your current spend using Cost Explorer and dashboards. And Sameer is going to amaze you with all those beautiful functionalities very soon. And what we are so proud of is the different levels of granular insights that Acceldata provides literally at your fingertips. You don't have to run around like that chaotic diagram and try to create all these reports. They are literally available to you. It's such a beautiful feeling to have it at your fingertips. And then this anomalies part is where you actually detect the unusual patterns, or are there errors, have there been any safeguards that we have missed, what about the configuration security concerns, just finding out what's the problem and attending to it on time. That's important, right? And the spend plan. So when you budget, let it not be a dart in air, right? So we make sure that we provide you the intelligence on the past usage and all the spend that has happened in the company, and also at the granular level, and you can create your budgets depending on that. Again, Sameer will awe you with all that functionality very soon. Yes, please, Loretta. Okay, one final poll question for you before you see the amazing demo from Sameer. So we want to know which of these problems have you encountered in the, especially in the recent economic times. If you can answer the poll, please. Loretta will put it up for you.
Oops, sorry, just running into some technical difficulties, not sure why. Here we go.
No worries. It'll give you time to think about, what the problems they have encountered. So we have been thinking of different angles, like the cloud budgets, the shrinking IT resources, everything that we discussed now, the limited resources, the talent shortage, right? You can imagine, the amount of talent that's required for these specialized jobs and the shortage, and then the hiring. We are seeing that it's being reduced. So yes, there you go. You have your poll now.
Yep, all good. Sorry about that little glitch, but all good.
No worries. And choice 5 is pressure to reduce cloud data costs and budgets. So in case that applies to you.
Yep, it looks like a few people are saying that definitely applies to them, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And we will close the poll in 3, 2, 1. Oops, actually, I see a few more people coming in. Sorry, so I will keep it open a couple more times. Okay, we'll close it in 3, 2, 1. And here are the results.
Thank you all. Thank you for participating. Wow, looks like the pressure to reduce cloud data costs and budgets is top of mind. And then the ownership of cloud data costs being ambiguous and dispersed, that's the second top of mind. What else? We see talent shortage, limited resources, the shrinking budgets also bothering you. So yes, thank you for responding to the poll. So with that, can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so as I mentioned, these are top of mind items, and now Sameer will show you in a product demo about how Acceldata helps you address the issues we just talked about. Over to you, Sameer.
Awesome. Let me share my screen here. Thank you, Preeti, for setting up the context and the polls, right? The feedback from the polls really helps me keeping the demo focused on the problems, right? So the first poll, what we saw was a lot of people here are rightly interested in optimizing the resources, right? And the usage that is happening. And so what we follow is measure, understand, optimize framework, right? Like to optimize something, you first have to understand what is happening with that resource utilization. And to understand that utilization, you first need the capability to measure it, right? And so we'll follow that framework, and I'll show you how Acceldata platform helps you do that very easily, right? And the next two polls actually showed that there is no single persona who is in charge of handling the spend, right? Or building the cost-aware culture. Is the responsibility of all, especially in the cloud, right? So everyone is responsible. So earlier days, it used to be one Excel sheet that was tracking the entire budget of all the teams and organization. But now with the paper usage and all this on the fly warehouse creations, agile way to deploy the projects and more workloads, it becomes very important for everyone in the team, whether it's the data engineer or the administrator or the FinOps Center of Excellence team, everyone to have a single unified view. And hence, it's not that you need the features. What you need is a platform, right? And so hence we have built what we call Acceldata's data observability cloud platform, right? And just the one that you see on the screen is our homepage, where the journey of various personas starts, right? And today we'll be focusing most on the compute side of things, which is focused on the spend intelligence. But like Preeti mentioned earlier, it's a complete product suite which provides you capabilities to visualize your pipelines, understand where your pipelines are spending most of their time. You can create alerts around it. Alert me if my pipeline has not been run today or it has been taking longer time than yesterday. The second aspect is the data reliability. Your pipeline processes, ingests data, and consumes data, right? And so if the quality of that data is bad, so garbage in, garbage out, right? Whatever the output of your pipelines will also be bad. So how are your pipelines? How is your data? What are the characteristics of data, right? You can profile your data. You can create data quality policies around it to ensure that all the data is of good quality. But final layer, right, that comes under this data, the data it sits on some infrastructure, right? And this infrastructure is generally the cloud data platforms. What we see, it could be Snowflake, it could be Databricks, it could be some of the Azure, AWS, or GCP services that you see, right? And there is a lot of places have a mix of this, right? Your data sits on a cloud data storage. You process your data in Databricks. your curated data, the golden data, whatever you call it, right? It sits inside your Snowflake environment from where your business intelligence tools or your applications consume it, right? So it's not, the platform really needs to look at all these variety of data sources that make up your data stack, right? And modern data stack deals with a lot of these newer technologies. And so what we see is there are various things that we have to look at, right? And so we will go one by one. So first, spend intelligence, right? Anything you do, right? If you want to improve the performance, you allocate more resources. If you want to improve the efficiency, when we talk about improving the efficiency of the resources, side effect, right? Or the main goal behind doing any of this operation is basically cost, right? Improving the performance reduces the cost. Applying the best practices, applying guardrails around it, or implementing the best practices also results in improving the cost, right? So looking at these cost visualizations triggers an activity which can also result in performance improvements and also better administration and better implementation of the best practices inside your account. So what we do is we connect to your cloud data sources, right? For Snowflake, for example, we get a read-only access to your Snowflake database, which is a separate database which consists only of the metadata about the usage of data, right? And so while Snowflake makes it really easy, it curates the data and provides it in the form of tables where we can directly connect and fetch this data. Sometimes a lot of people start with doing it themselves, trying to understand what is happening. But what really is needed is you need to be continuously on top of the things, right? And you need to automate all of these activities as much as possible, right? So that is one thing. But there are other resources, right? You can talk about Kafka, you can talk Confluence or Databricks, right? All this metadata is available, but yes, you have to you need a way to pull out the data, right? So on Databricks, there is a way. Some of the data sits in Unity catalog. There are system tables. Some data is on the is available as a part of different open source UIs that are available along with Databricks. Sometimes you need to deploy an agent, what they call global init scripts inside Databricks. So there are various ways, right? Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's complex, but yeah, you have to implement those ways to basically aggregate all that metadata. And then you have to run recipes on top of it, right? It's like sometimes you run analytics on top of it. Sometimes you run ML to figure out outliers, to figure out forecasting. And so this platform does all that for you, right? And so let's look at what typical use cases, right? When we talk to customers, some customers, for every application, they want to have a separate Snowflake account or a separate Databricks workspace, right? So some company follow that rules. Whereas some companies, what we have seen is they prefer to have accounts as per their different stages of the application or the project, right? So they have a development stage Snowflake account separate, or a production level separate workspace for their Databricks account, right? So every scenario is different, and so this product caters to both the scenarios, right? So if you have separate instances, right, of the account being created, then what we have here is basically we see all the accounts listed together, and we will basically aggregate what's happening for you last month or this month, and you will see the usage and the total cost across all your accounts. You can see which of the accounts are taking most of the spend and start drilling into that account, right? But for the other use case where we saw there are multiple teams, multiple projects that basically use the same resources and same accounts, what we went is the complete FinOps route. We provide the enterprise's capability to create organization units and cost centers. And now you can basically view your spend across these cost centers, right? How much are we spending on the sales project that is we are building on top of Databricks, or they can be mix of Databricks and Snowflake account, right? It doesn't matter. And how do you create, right? How do you create these cost centers and organizations? Basically, you can allocate the complete account, or you can allocate certain resources like these warehouses within my account belong to so-and-so team or so-and-so project, right? So you can either select the entire account, you can select certain resources, warehouses, databases within your account, or you can also go ahead and select tags, right? So if you have implemented tagging, what we provide is we will discover what tags have been implemented inside your account. We will also discover what are the possible values that you have been assigned to your account, right? And so in the FinOps, this is the most recommended way, right? To go ahead with the creation of your cost centers. So you need to tag your resources, and no matter how complex the way you have tagged it, whether you have put your keys as department, users, application, we can parse all those tags, and you can create your cost centers based on those departments. And like I said earlier, it doesn't necessarily, your project can span across multiple data platforms. Your ETL could be Databricks, your storage, your final golden data set could be Snowflake, right? And so we will provide you ability to create cost centers across either Databricks or Snowflake, and go ahead by selecting either certain warehouses that are running on top of Snowflake, so on and so forth, right? And so once you create these cost centers, once you understand what is the spend that is happening across your organization units and cost centers, the next thing is you can also create budgets on top of it, right? So a lot of cases you create monthly, quarterly, or even annual budgets on top of it, right? So from administration point of view or center of excellence point of view, you would like to know how are my budgets tracking, right? If they are, if I've created a budget which is monthly, and for certain organization, if I allocate the amount, you can also, like if your organization unit consists of multiple projects, you can actually spread this budget across multiple projects within that organization. But really important part is this notifications that you would like to get, right? Or the triggers. And so it could be on your actual amount, or what we will do is we will actually run ML algorithms which will do forecasting on the spend, right? Based on your current spend, we will forecast by the end of your budgeted amount. If your costs are going to exceed, then we will proactively alert you so that you can take action on top of it, right? And the alert could be, it's a very observability tool, important feature, right? Where we provide you capability to alert on your emails or your Slack, or if it's Microsoft Teams you are using, or even ServiceNow accounts, right? And so that you can have your complete incident response management system activated with these alerts, right? Someone gets notified so that he has to act on it. A lot of customers ask, okay, what if we want to run some script on top of it? What if we want to do some custom logic on top of it before we go to call our PagerDuty or Microsoft Teams or ServiceNow? And so we provide webhooks, right, where you will receive events with entire information about what happened in that event, right? It will be a JSON blob that you will get, and now you can write a listening script on top of this event and listen to the webhook and take an action on top of it, right? So those are the one where some complex use cases you can remediate, or you can trigger some action scenarios on top of it. But yes, email, Slack is also yet is another way to start tracking it, right? But okay, that was one way, right? You could drill down also, right? If your costs were high for certain organizations or certain department, you can drill down and go to these dashboards that we are seeing now, right? So if you wanted only to look at, okay, what's my sales team doing, right? All the charts that we are seeing here, and I'll be showing you, will be filtered by only those organization units and cost centers. So it, in a way, it also provides you capability to look at the insights and all the recommendations only for certain organization. You don't have to look at the entire platform. Administrators of the platform would like to look at across the accounts, across the resources. But if you are data engineers, if you're very specific to your project, we will basically implement filtering with organization units. Also, we provide role-based access control so that, yes, based on your use case, you can go ahead and create users who have access only to specific specific use cases and not the entire accounts, right? So that's yet another important point to be noted about a data observability platform. So a lot of time, let's say when we are talking about Snowflake, right, there is a contract that you have signed, which is being consumed by the entire enterprise, right? Multiple teams, and or there can be multiple accounts, right, within your. So how is this contract trending, right? So in this case, what we see is this particular contract is of $108,000, right? And it's been what, a month and a half since this contract was started. We see 11% has already been consumed. So what we do is we forecast it, right? And we will tell you by the end of your contract, are you going to be overage or underage your contract, right? And so if this number was pretty high, right, which is the case in many scenarios, because you are successful with your first project, people want to move very fast onto the next project and they deploy more and more workloads, right? So even everything is going, everything is configured fine, the resources are right side. Sometimes there are use cases that you might overrun your budget just because you are onboarding more and more projects on top of it, right? So as an administrator, as a center of excellence, you need to be aware of it, right? And so that you can act on your budgeting accordingly, right? And so this is the kind of forecasting we provide. You can see the forecasting not only on the contract level, you can see it at the every account level also, right? If the current trend continues, what will be the consumption for a particular account by the end of the contract, right? And so this is the spend you are seeing across the account, across the all the accounts. What are the services that are being used and what is the spend that is happening on top of it, right? Or you can go and look at all these things at a particular for the last month, or you can do this for the last 3 months also. Accordingly, all the dashboards will be modified, right? So here in this case, we see compute is basically consuming most of the resources. Now, naturally, what the next step you want to do is drill down, right? So drill down, why, right? That is one of the main things that comes with observability. It's not some dashboards that you have created on top of a business intelligence tool out there like Tableau or Power BI or any other tool, right? Like the main thing, more than monitoring, that observability is concerned is with why, right? Why is it happening? And then the next thing comes with what can I do about it, right? And so what we provide is the drill down helps you achieve that. Why is this happening? Okay, my costs are 13,000. Why are my costs 13,000? Right? I want to understand it more. So you have went past the step where you are trying to measure things and view things. Now you are asking questions, right? Now you want to interact and go deeper into it. And the last thing you want to do is, okay, what can I do about it, right? So you want recommendations on top of it. So I'll go deeper into both these aspects, right? And the way I'm showing you currently for Snowflake only, everything that I show for Snowflake is we are doing the similar things on Databricks also. And in future, we are releasing now Azure Data Factory, or Kafka we already have, right? So similar insights we provide on multiple other instances also. So let's start with drill down capabilities that I talked about, right? So I'll just show one case and how deep it can go, right? So the cost in this case are high. So okay, I want to drill down into compute costs. What's happening, right? If you had seen your storage costs are high, you would have gone into the storage tab, right? And so when you come to the compute tab, you see these warehouses are consuming your compute costs. What are the number of queries that are running on top of these warehouses, right? You can see the monthly cumulative cost, or you can, if you want to see the daily spikes. Yeah, these are the daily spikes that are happening inside your, for your compute cost, right? You can go deeper into the weekly cost by day or by hour and try to understand what is happening and what is your total cost at whatever midnight or for particular day. How much do I spend on Monday kind of thing. These are all good to build an understanding of how your costs are, how the resources are being consumed over a period of time. This will tell you which warehouses are consuming most. So those are. So next step is, okay, I want to see what's happening on this particular warehouse. So now you click on that, right? Now you see what kind of workload is running on top of warehouse. What is the average? What is the number of queries? What is the average time every query takes to run, right? How many queries failed on top of this particular warehouse? So when we drill down, we maintain the context, right? We saw what time period, we saw which particular warehouse you are trying to build a context on, right? And so whatever you click on here, every dashboard has a capability to drill down, and it will retain the context of the case that you are trying to debug. You are trying to narrow down and go to the bottom of, right? And so that is really important, right? That you need to maintain the context. And so you want to know, a lot of customers look at it from multiple perspectives. Some people want to understand the cost from warehouse perspective, which warehouse and hence which application is consuming. Some people want to look at from users perspective, right? Tell me who are the users who are spending most and what they are spending it on, what are the queries they are running. And maybe I will go to them and try to understand more kind of thing, right? Or talk to them kind of thing. Or you want to look at from workload perspectives, which are the different types of workloads that run on top of my warehouses, right? And when we talk about Snowflake or Databricks, a lot of times is the same query, right? With the bad jobs, or you have a BI tool connected to your Databricks or your Snowflake instances. When you open a dashboard, when you select some filters and view insights inside a dashboard, behind the scenes, same query structure is being issued to the Snowflake or Databricks instance. What changes is the data underneath it based on the time period that you have selected, or based on the customers or the regions that you have selected. The filters are different, but the query structure is same. So what we do is we run some advanced query parsing algorithms and use some fingerprinting technologies, and we are able to group together these queries, right? And group together them into the workloads, so that now user can understand that so-and-so application, so-and-so workload, how many queries are running, right? And what is the cost of those queries, right? So if I see 8,000 of these queries are running, so I want to go deeper into it, right? Okay, what are these 8,000 queries, right? Which warehouse is running on which database it's going to, and everything. If it was looking at multiple databases, what you would see here is, let me just remove the filter, right? And go. So these are all the queries that are happening on these multiple warehouses. These are the type of queries. And so if you select some particular database, then we'll filter all these queries on only for that particular database, right? So on and so forth. So what we saw was, we started with spend visibility. We went into the resources, which are your warehouses. We went into the workloads, which were running on top of warehouses. Now we are at a query level, right? We are at a query level where we can go ahead and tell you which are the top 50 expensive queries. So, with all the necessary statistics, right, that help you. So what is the cost of them? Who ran it? What is the query stacks? What, how much time it took, and it failed, right? So in this case, it failed because it ran for 2 days. And at the end of 2 days, there is a default timeout set, statement timeout set, right? So really the user ran the same query multiple times, right? And didn't get anything out of it because the query took longer to execute. So maybe this is a point where we need to increase the size of warehouse, right? Or the other case is 2 days is huge amount, right? On 6 Excel Snowflake warehouse, you burn $50,000 to $60,000 for this single query if it was running for 6 days, right? And so what you can do is you can click on that query and you can see basically the same query ran 8 times, right? The same user ran the query 8 times. What if at the end of the first query itself, we had alerted the user, your query has timed out, right? Rerunning is not going to be useful. You need to tweak your warehouse, right? So these are all the actions, right? These are some of the things that you could proactively take so that the cost of the query would never have been $1,000, right? So this is one use case of this feature that we call Query Studio, right? The other use case can be immense, right? You can think it from performance perspective. A lot of people want to understand the performance of queries. So the same query was running, taking 1 hour to run every day. Now it's taking me 1 day to run. What happened? So you can do side-by-side comparisons, right? By query time, or you can basically look at it from the cost perspective, or you can see it from the rows produced output perspective, right? Whatever parameter you select, all the statistics, necessary statistics, will prioritize it. We will highlight you what changed, what not changed, right? So if you want to look at some different queries, not only the best queries or something, you can select the queries and you can say compare, and all those queries will be added side by side for you to easily understand and take next action on top of it, right? What we also provide you is recommendation. So there are cases where we say, I don't want to interpret what's basically happening, right? I don't want to go ahead at each dashboard. Tell me out of the box, what do I need to do, right? And so then we are kind of here showing you account level monitors. A lot of times, there are these guardrails that Snowflake provides, right? Controlling the cost is also very important. And so there are these guardrails that Snowflake provides. A lot of times what we have seen is it's not mandated, and hence people don't set these guardrails, right? Resource monitors are not set up for these warehouses. Like I said, statement timeout, majority, 95% of the times your workloads complete in 1 day, 1 hour. Why do you want your statement timeout to be 2 days? Because user will make mistakes, right? They will write a Cartesian join. They will write a self-exploding join. They will write select star from a 10 terabyte table. And they will run that query will run for huge amount of time, which will cost you. So we encourage people, we notify people, we recommend people that, okay, go ahead and set the resource monitors. Go ahead and tweak your statement timeout. If auto suspend was not set, we will force the users. We will alert the administrators. We will alert whoever the owner of the team is, so that he makes sure that his team is acting on top of it, right? You will receive reports, basically, that these actions are not being taken. What changed in the last week? What is not changed in the last week? So that team is, as a team, you start becoming cost-aware culture, right? You take actions on top of it, not punting it to the next sprint where, okay, we'll run the optimization next sprint. It might be too late by then, right? So housekeeping activities, which tables are used, which have not been used in a while. Like we saw, right? A huge amount of data doesn't get used. We hope so when we talk to data analytics team, when we talk to our AI team, they are very enthusiastic that, oh yeah, send us all this data. We are going to write some brilliant algorithms and going to use it. A lot of times FinOps teams, the administrators, they figure out that by the end of 6 months, by the end of 1 year, that data has not been consumed, right? And the enterprises, the administrator who has been fighting for the resources, fighting for the more budget, they are paying that money for ingesting the data, processing the data, making it ready to consumption. it's not being used at the end of the day. So this is something administrator can look at it, right? Center of excellence can look at it. But there are best practices also. The best practices are hidden inside the documentation, right? Whether it's Databricks, Snowflake, Kafka documentation, you see from security or account robustness perspective, they say no dormant users, clean up your unused roles, go ahead and audit your users at the end of every quarter, because, by mistake, you might have given some permissions to some user, or the user might have changed the teams. Now he doesn't need those permissions to your earlier data, right? And so whatever the nested role-based access that Snowflake provides, we flatten it. We make it very easy. We create filtering on top of it, right? You can download these in Excel sheet and do the audit at the end of quarters, right? One other good example of what we do is there are these release notes, right? Snowflake release notes. I think that could be a one poll question. How many of you go ahead and read the release notes from Snowflake or Databricks and act on top of it, right? And so there are these drivers which often get deprecated. So I don't know, like in last month you saw at the end of this quarter or the next quarter, if you are going to run certain GCP drivers on GCP Snowflake account, it won't be running, right? It will be stalled, right? And Snowflake sent an email to account admins that go ahead and upgrade for Snowflake accounts which you are running on GCP. But really admins get it, not all the teams get it. So the users, right? How do admins proactively let all the users know that you are using deprecated drivers? Maybe it's the time you upgrade the drivers, right? Not only from the robustness perspective, a lot of time the latest drivers perform better, right? Better performance results in your basically decreased cost. So all these things are important. So we scrub the release notes, we codify the rules, we codify the documentation, and provide all the necessary guardrails, controls, recommendations around that, right? Let me do a quick time check. We have 7 minutes. I'll conclude this in 2 minutes and give like 5 minutes for more question and answers, right? So similarly, right sizing the warehouses is another issue. What is your expectations from your applications? How are they currently running? Are the warehouses underutilized? Are they overloaded? Are they running effectively? So we want the warehouses in the first quadrant. If not, we will basically give you a recommendation, merge it. If you have given us the right permission, we can take actions on top of the warehouses right from this page itself, right? Otherwise, what you will see is we are continuously giving recommendations out there. Dormant users, basically if high chain tables is yet another cost where you see a lot of cost, right? So if in some in this use case, right, you would have seen the cost of my organization is high, right? I wanted to look at the storage cost. In some cases, you see the storage costs are high because of time travel bytes or fail-safe storage bytes. So we go deeper into that part also, right? So I covered most of the things for Snowflake, but let me in 1 minute give you a little bit idea about Databricks also. Same thing. The concept is same, right? You can view the costs from perspective of let me pull up the cost. I think this is not the right integration that I have, but yeah. So what you would have seen was on the Databricks side also, we show similar compute insights from the cluster level, from the workspace level, from the job run. We go deeper into what's happening on each job, which SQL queries are run as a part of Spark job, or what are the different stages that are being consumed inside those jobs. What is the time taken? You can create alerts on top of it, right? So everything that I showed, whatever metadata that I showed, you can go ahead and create alerts on top of it. Alert me when the Snowflake credits consumed is more than $1,000, or you have failed clusters, or your CPUs that you are consuming on top of Databricks cluster is more than 90%, right? So these are out of box. All you have to do is basically click enable button, and that's it. We have started monitoring your costs, right? But in certain use cases, every customer case, every customer scenario is different, right? And so what we provide is all the metadata that we fetch. We provide you capability to create custom alerts on top of it, right? So if the volume count of EBS is greater than whatever, right, 512 number, you figure out the criticality of this alert, and the alert will be sent to the notification channel. Certain alerts we take auto actions on top of it, right? For certain alert, you will see here auto remediate or auto trigger. And what we provide you is an auto action, right? Terminate the clusters if it's running for 1 hour kind of thing under custom case, right? It will be different than resource monitors that Snowflake provide. This will be for certain user, in certain use case, for certain duration. It happens, go ahead and take that action. Those kinds of custom scenarios we can do, right? And lastly, there we have an incident management response system also. You receive an alert, it will be inside your Slack. You click, it will come here, give you all the idea about what's happening, what are the values you are seeing, how many time this instance happened. If there is basically a link that we could provide you, we will provide you that link, or whatever recommendation we provide, we will provide you that thing. You can assign it to the user, and you can track it, right? What's happening, how many alerts has been fired, are the actions being taken, right? And so it's a mini incident response management system in itself, right? So let me stop here and see if there are any questions.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Sameer. It was great demo, lots of insights. So we do have a couple questions. I think one of them you might have answered, but I'll ask anyway, which is on the shared resources, for example, in the Databricks cluster, what's the insight Acceldata provides to identify the cost of each project in case of parallel runs on the same cluster?
Yeah, so I think, we currently do the estimated. So especially if there are parallel runs on the cluster, it becomes very difficult to allocate how much resources are being used by job, right? It's a shared cluster. And so why currently we are giving estimated costs, we do have the duration, we do have the time span. We are working on a feature. Hopefully in the next demo, I'll be able to show that thing where we will be able to not only estimate per job. What we will be able to do is, even before you run a job, if you want to get an estimate of the query, right? If you want to get a dry run, an estimate, we are going that direction also. So that feature is coming soon, kind of thing. But today we are able to give you, if it's a job cluster, yes, it's at a job level. But for an all-purpose cluster, we are able to give you estimated time based on the duration that job ran for. And not only for Databricks, but the Databricks cluster runs on top of, let's say, EC2 instance. In that case, we will associate the cloud vendor cost also to the Databricks job. So we do that also.
Nice. Okay. Second question is, in case Unity catalog is not used in Databricks, is there any impact on what insights can be provided?
No. So we go equally deeper, and in fact much deeper when Unity catalog information that we are not able to find from Unity catalog, what we do is we have a global init script agent that gets deployed. It's a standard way of deployment on the Databricks. And so whenever any cluster gets deployed, this agent will start listening, right? Again, Databricks provides a great feature called listener, and our agent goes ahead and monitors and continuously listens to this for every event that happens on top of your clusters, right? And because of that, we can go way deeper, right? Way deeper at the system utilization, at your garbage collection, JVMs, or within the Spark job, not if you are looking at what's happening, what stages, what is the SQL that is running, how much resources, Is there any shuffle? Is there any spillage? We are able to get all the information very deep without Unity Catalog also.
Awesome. And we just have time for one more question. The last question is kind of what is the implementation time to implement this? You know, if someone is interested in bringing this, if I'm interested in bringing this into my environment, you know, is it a heavy lift to use this? Is it a light lift? Kind of just give a quick overview on what that entails.
So that's the best part, right? So this is a cloud product, right? This it's basically complete SaaS product, I would say, right? And the compute part, especially, it's super lightweight. All you have to do is create a users, like there is a link in our documentation, users which has access only to the necessary metadata, right? Like in case of Snowflake, let's say, we need only a read-only access to the Snowflake metadata, right? And as soon as you register the user and create a data source, within 15 minutes, you will start seeing dashboards being populated here, right? The recommendation will take some time because we act on it, we process it, we run some algorithms on top of it, but all the visualizations, all the spend, and all the different dashboards that we saw, they will be getting available as soon as 15 minutes, right? And you have the ability to select what is the historical data that you want to see, right? Is it the 90 days or the 6 months, or you don't want historical data, you want to see only last 1 month of data, right? So that's the best part with compute observability. It's very lightweight, it's very fast, and it's available as a SaaS. So, yeah.
That is great. Awesome. A great answer. It almost seems like since the dashboards start to populate right away, it almost seems like it's magic. But at any rate, thank you so much. I'm noticing we are 2 minutes over time. So for those of you that stayed, appreciate it and want to be cognizant of your time. So thanks very much. Thanks, Preeti, and thanks, Sameer. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us and we'll go from there. Again, thanks a lot for your time. Bye-bye, everybody.